I think you already had through the morning some idea about facilitation. If you don't already have it through all our work, this course is just about facilitation. Usually we do it, but we don't talk about it. Ngam ka this guy? Okay. Please tell him if tidak ngam. So we are often in it. We do it every day. We don't know what it's called. We know it's called something. Some of us know it's called facilitation. Some of us call it organizing, coordinating. But facilitation is really very specific. So we're going to talk about that. In the 3 days, we really only have one session where I'm talking a lot. So forgive me for that. And then one session where we'll be listening to Sumitra Pasupati. She's a great facilitator. And then another one in the evening where in late afternoon I'll be talking some more. And then we're gonna have a little bit of a demo for tomorrow. Tomorrow, all of you will be facilitating in sessions. And you're practicing some of what I'll be sharing this afternoon and this evening. So you're trying it out yourself with guidance and feedback from your peers. Don't worry, everybody's in the same boat. Everybody will be doing it in front of everyone. Bergilir-gilir. And you see here, we have this session called What Do We Care About? That's what we're going to talk about. So instead of just talking about, climate change or whatever, we're actually going to have a session where we see what are the things this group cares about most. And then in the session tomorrow, we are practicing, but we are also discussing the topics we care about. So the spirit and practice of facilitative leadership. There are many things there. One is the spirit, the practice, facilitative leadership. So let's unpack that a little bit. The spirit is more like the semangat, not less the roh or less the beings walking around invisible, visible to some. That's not so much what we're talking about. We're talking about the semangat, the attitude, the approach, and then the practice, how to actually do it. So it is fine, you know the approach, you understand why it's important, but how do you do it? So what we want is it's practical. You can learn how to do it, you can do it. So that's the practice part. We will be sharing tools, we'll be sharing methodologies. You will be practicing it yourself. You will get feedback from your colleagues. So that's the practice. But truly the practice is kalau kamu buat hari-hari. Kalau itulah kau punya approach, itulah kau punya strategi sebagai seorang leader. Ada orang yang leader dia, I'm a dictator, I'm an authoritarian, I am a top-down kind of, I'm gonna tell you how to do things because I'm smarter than everybody. You know, there are many ways of leadership. So the word facilitative before leadership means you believe in that way of leadership. So kenapa? Why? Why do we believe in facilitative leadership as opposed to more directive leadership? And it doesn't mean that if you're facilitative that you can't be directive. It's a tool. It's a way of leading that creates space for many, many voices, particularly other leaders and the voices of others who have different qualities from you yourself. So I've had many, many years, decades now, of facilitation experience. And it's been my choice of how I lead. And I kind of distilled it into principles, purpose, and practice to share with you. Bukan senang mau share this thing because it's kind of, you can't touch it. You know, it's not like going to business school or doing an MBA or doing a, you know, how do you manage a business? This is more intangible, more abstract. But it's these things, sort of. That's why I put it in principles, purpose, and practice. So some of the key principles why I practice facilitative leadership. Yang pertama for me is it's about diversity, equity, inclusivity. So let's say I'm your boss. If I only believe my way of thinking is important, then I would just tell you what to do every day, and you follow me. I pay you. You clock in, you clock out. But if I value diversity, meaning each of you are different, each of you have skills, each of you have unique qualities, and then equity. I believe all of you need to have a voice in your day-to-day, what you do with your life. So it's equity. Even though I am the quote-unquote boss, I have a voice. Each of you also has a voice. And what is the space that we can create where your voice is encouraged, heard, challenged? Even when you don't think you have a voice, you're encouraged to articulate even the little voice that might be coming out. And then inclusivity, meaning leadership sometimes looks like me. Sometimes it looks like, I don't know, let's name somebody, Toy. Sometimes it looks like Nanak. Sometimes it looks like Phoebe. They're very, very different ways of leading, and inclusion across genders, across, you know, identities, all these things. So not just racial, cultural, religious, those are issues of inclusion. Sometimes you see leadership, kalau satu organisasi, all of them look like this. Very, very frequent. You see all white men, all the white men. Sometimes ada a few smattering of women. You see what I mean? And gender is not the only thing about inclusivity lah. There are many, many ways to be exclusive and to be inclusive. Above and beyond the sum of its parts. Above and beyond the sum of its parts. Larungam. So, meaning I'm one, you're one, you're one, you're one, you're one, you're one, all there's 30 of us. It's not just that if there's a collective genius in this group, bukannya 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 jadi 30. Actually, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 in a group process yang really, really is generative. Kau punya genius dari grup tuh can terbang. You know what I mean? I know you've experienced this sometimes dalam kamu punya team. Sometimes it's gone, but you can find it back. But remember process di mana you're sitting down together, you're discussing an issue, you come to the solution together. And it's a solution you would not have thought of by yourself. So that's what I call above and beyond the sum of its parts, or a collective genius. Every group I've seen where it's been intentional to create a group process, picking everybody's brains, everybody's diverse knowledge and experience. When that's really welcomed, you create group genius. It's been studied that in group processes where that is happening, your individual IQs go up. They've studied this. And of course, intelligence is not just about IQ. There's many, many ways to be intelligent, but that is a fact that in a generative group process, individual IQs go up. What is that? That says a lot, right? That really speaks for the value of group processes. Infinitely more effective and resilient. I think maybe you've experienced this in some of your projects. When you have a team, and when your team has a leadership quality, dia lebih resilient than kalau kau satu orang. Or you are yourself making the decisions or calling the shots. So those, to me, are principles about why facilitative leadership works for me. Purpose. What is the purpose of facilitative leadership? You convene, you draw people, gather people, like this is a gathering. That's, so let's say issue kerbau di Kampung Tinuhan. We gather everybody. We convene, we gather them. We bring them to talk about the issue. Kan? So that's gathering a stakeholder group. To grow relationships and partnerships, of course, bila memang sudah you gather, you convene, you will always have this phenomena of relationships. Then if you're really intentional, kau punya relationship memang terus can be a partnership. If you are facilitating for that, and there is a natural affinity, yang betul-betul ngam kau punya visi, ngam kau punya misi, itulah yang kamu mau sama-sama. Then you can grow the partnership. To tend to process. To me, tend is like you tend to your garden. You tend to your kebun. But this one is you tending to process. Ada ramai yang of us, certain kind of leadership, yang dia tahu tu end goal saja. Dia mau sampai kepada goal. Whatever the goal is, itu yang penting. Dia tidak berapa peduli proses dia. The most important thing is the goal. Facilitative leadership really focus on your process. Actually, we see the process more than the goal. It's like, are we practicing inclusivity? Are we practicing, diversity? Are we blah, 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 all these things. Those things, values, kita punya nilai-nilai, are just as important, if not more important, than the destination itself. To synthesize. So macam tadi, we had the discussion about alcohol, right? You guys all cerita-cerita, talk. It was just like a chat, right? Then when we did the sharing, you shared some things. Kan? After you share, you all the group, you look at that, you're like, wow, okay, this is what the group discussed. Then after that, you start to synthesize. What did we say? Well, some of us talked about it as cultural. Some of us talk about solutions. Some of us talk about how to be more responsible. This is synthesizing. So dia bukan cakap-cakap saja. You can always take the cakap-cakap if you know how to harvest the notes, and then it tells you what is happening. It plots a pattern, and then it tells you, okay, you can see just now, right? I didn't do anything. I just wrote down what you said. Then you start to see something there. Then you start to see a pattern. You synthesize it, and you all kind of start to see a solution, right? True or not? Whose solution is that? Was it mine? No. Was it one person's? Right? It was a synthesized solution. In my ideal world, we make laws like that. We build institutions like that. We build processes like that. But that's, of course, not exactly the way it's happening right now. Practice. We will do a lot of practice. Actually, more practice, the better. You practice in your own work as well. So the application, all these things I'm talking about now, how do we apply it? in your day-to-day. You can apply it in your day-to-day. All of you, trust me, every one of you can apply it. How-to and tools. Okay, that's what we'll learn. You'll learn some tools. You'll get a workbook. You'll get another workbook when this is over, because our FSI team is taking all this content, and this is why it's being videoed, to turn into a course book. Then you can use it for your own reference. You can share it. It's open source. Anybody can use it. Methodologies. There are a lot of methodologies with facilitation. You can do straight up, macam kau, it's natural for you to do it that way. But very smart people all over the world, this is their focus of learning. They have created methodologies that work. And then you can see like, macam kau punya toolkit in your bag. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this. I'm going to do a hybrid. Yeah. So remember just now I tried to show you, okay, is this now a time to break into groups or stay in the big group? You can feel the answer, right? Then when I say how big is the group, many of you go like this. Macam kamu tahu sudah, it should be 4. Okay, this is already a methodology. Any thoughts about this 2 diagrams? So I would say the most common organization chart looks like this. One of the key things about why facilitative leadership, why facilitation is organization. One of my mentors taught me one thing very early on, that the individual can do many good things. You can do really good things on your own. But to do really great things, you need organization. So the vessel is organization. That's why leadership. And that's why for some of us, myself included, I choose facilitative leadership. These are forms of organization. There are many, many forms, but I'm taking 2 very kind of easy ones for you to look at. One like this, which is hierarchical, which is very standard, very conventional. And then another one, which is a little more unconventional, a little more chaotic, but there's order as well. This has pros and cons, this has pros and cons. It doesn't mean kalau you do this that you can't do this, or you do this that you can't do this. What I mean is, there are moments in time when there's a particular process where for a little moment you need to do this, or for a little moment you need to do that. Or you are more this, you only use this very rarely. Tapi mostly when people are here, they are here. They are very much in their boxes. Give me some examples of what you think is run this way.
No.
Companies, government, corporations. What about Coppel?
I'd say Coppel is very...
By law.
Huh?
By law, kena ikut yang sebelah ni.
Ini. Tapi yang on the ground apa macam? Sometimes on the ground.
It's more like this.
Okay, so on the ground is like this. The koperasi is like this. Sometimes that has to be the case. That's why this is not an either or. Okay? When you look at this, how does your body feel when you look at this? If you came to work every day and you have a boss and Cynthia Ong had a whip and a gun and a whatever, asked you to salute every time, how would you come to work every day? You have to clock in, you have to clock out. Everybody's like watching you.
Anxious.
Huh? Anxious? Or you like that? You're like, oh, it's so cool, it's so clear, I know what to do. Bored? Does your body feel like excited to come to work like this? You're like, oh my God, I can't wait.
It's more like you can't wait
Huh?
for the thing that's after work.
Okay, what about this one? Are you like, oh, I can't wait to go to see those people in those circle over there? Oh my God, I can't wait to go to visit those guys over there. How does your mindset, your body, everything feel when you think about, when you wake up in the morning, looking at these two things? Do you feel yourself like kind of more on for one, less on for the other? There's no right or wrong, because I think it's different for different people. This is my very not Changi sketch. Those of you who were part of the complexity mountaintop, systems, thinking and complexity. Kamu ingat ka? Do you remember this? So don't get confused. Usually I draw it, but at the very top, or let's talk about this line, yeah? This vertical line. At the bottom is a line of knowledge. At the bottom is experiential. At the top is formal. So think about this like, let's say, traditional ecological knowledge. Let's say the top is a PhD, an MBA, something like that. And then this vertical line at the bottom is the micro, at the micro level, the ground. And the top line is at the macro level, at the atas. Okay? So macro design, what is macro design? Sabah structural plan is a macro design. Sabah agricultural blueprint is a macro design. Sabah tourism master plan is a macro design. Sabah Maju Jaya is a macro design. Dia ada aspirasi, ada vision untuk sesuatu masa depan yang begini. That's a macro design. Sesuatu yang design dengan macam long term in mind. Okay, like the jurisdictional certification of palm oil for Sabah. That's a macro design. Apakah ini micro operation? For example, orang menanam padi di Kampung Tinuhan is a macro operation. Orang buat homestay kecil di Kampung Kolosunan, that's a micro operation. Yeah? So what I'm trying to connect it with is, at the top you have a macro design. So for example, Sabah agricultural blueprint, dia punya vision is, we will plant a lot of rice, tapi dia punya rice, dia beribu-ribu hektar punya rice yang secara industrial. Tapi dia punya micro operation is, orang kampung menanam secara kecil-kecilan, 1 ekar, 1 tan. You understand? So, kalau yang best possible scenario, kau punya macro design, biarpun kau sedaya upaya you try, your perjalanan will get there. Somewhere there. Into a local scenario. That's as far as you may go. With your big vision, you will have some idea of a local scenario. And your micro operation, the person who's planting alone, maybe 2 farmers, 3 farmers, 10 farmers, they will get to hear. Maybe they get an idea of better practices. Maybe dia boleh jumpa, they can see, ini ada dia punya pattern is like this. If we plant together, the pests are less, we should plant together, etc., etc. So, whether it's macro design or micro operation, you will never cross this gap of complexity. You're going like this. Complexity in the middle is this sea yang bergelora. And why do we have in Sabah the problems that we have? Where there's so many plans, so many visions, so many master plans, it's all sitting on shelves and it goes nowhere. You all know examples of this. So why is it that at Orang Kampung level, you're always trying to do something? We can only go so far and then we're pushing against the walls. The policy isn't there. We don't know the policy. Nobody told us the policy. No support for the policy, etc., etc. So we talk about in Forever Sabah the complexity in the middle. And I believe that the only way to address the complexity in the middle is through facilitative leadership. Because the top-down is not going to do it. The top-down is very disconnected with the bottom. The top-down does not know what is happening at the bottom. The bottom has no way to go to the top. No way. No voice. You can scream till you're blue in the face, as Bani Lasimbang said, the last mountaintop. Nobody is listening. Because these guys are listening to something else. And it's not, we want to say these are bad guys, kan? But maybe they literally don't know any better. Because the only thing they ever saw about governance looks like that. Looks like this. Maybe they're not bad guys. Maybe. Maybe some of them are bad guys. Or insecure guys. Or greedy guys. Whatever. To me, facilitative leadership in looking at diversity, equity, inclusion, all those things at the first slide, above and beyond the sum of its parts, collective genius, more effective and resilient. You convene, you draw, you gather all stakeholders, you grow relationships, you grow partnerships, you tend to the process, you synthesize. This is how you will connect the macro and the micro. This is how things will start to make sense. We are sense making together. Because we have to. What's this? It's a state cabinet. Do you see diversity here? Sorry lah guys, we're talking about you. Do you see inclusivity? Do you think they talk about sexual harassment in the workplace, mental health, depression? Do you think they talk about those things in cabinet? Do you think they,
They might be the cause.
They might be the cause. How do you think we have this in Sabah and nobody questions it? Nobody says this is unacceptable. Nobody thinks this is weird. Do we think this is weird? When you look at it like that? You do? How many of us think it's normal? It's quite normal, right? How many organizations board do you see like this?
I mean, is there a difference between what's normal and acceptable?
Yeah. So what's normalized, yang sudah dijadi normalized, we don't question it. And then, is it acceptable? Kalau you look at seminars, conferences, now with all the Zoom events, you look at the panel. We call it manel. All men. It's not even questioned. Does anybody say to them, hey, you really should have some diversity there? Bukan saja diversity, either gender, tapi age, for example. What is this? Forever Sabah. Where do you think the leadership is in Forever Sabah? You said everywhere. clever boy. Anywhere else? I mean, any more? Where do you see why we call this the Forever Sabah ecology? We don't call it an organization chart. And then it's about people, it's about issues, it's also about place, and it's about forever. Do you see yourself here? Everybody see yourself? Is there where you suddenly don't see yourself here? Is there a place for you here? When you see yourself here, let's say you're FSI, you look at that and then you see yourself everywhere? Or your CSPO? Or your HEH? Is it too small? Do we need to zoom in? If I zoom into the PDF, the subtitles will disappear. Okay, here. Let me be a teacher for a second. The core of Forever Sabah. You cannot see it. Living landscapes, living seascapes. Why do we call living seascapes and landscapes? It's because they are alive with two-leggeds, four-leggeds, ada yang bersayap, ada yang bersisik. Everything is in the living landscape and seascape. You open up to our focal areas, you really cannot see, you're so small. Food, agriculture, and fisheries. Energy, infrastructure, and waste. Forest, water, soil. Livelihoods, tourism, and enterprise. And then the programs. The SAWIT program. No, where's the SAWIT program? This is the SAWIT program that Andrew is a part of. And this is the SAWIT program for smallholders that Zulfikar is a part of. Then you have watersheds and communities. You have human elephant harmony. You've got Jessica and Toy. Female for ecosystem services. Anybody here? Tiada. We have Project Padi. Oh, my Project Padi here. We have the RE2 project. There are a couple of us involved in it. Sumi is the new one. Forest management unit model. Some of us here are in a way slightly part of it. Project, Great Apes, and Livelihoods. Who? Anybody? Apa? Yeah, Najib in Dagat. Forever Sagama. Okay, the Ramsar, we kept talking about Ramsar here. You have water quality, alternative livelihood, sustainable fisheries. Those are these guys. Where are you? One. You're the only one. Siti Fatima, yeah, that's right. Sorry, this is so small you cannot see. Community engagement. Everything we do is community engagement. There's nothing we do here that does not engage with the community of a place. Astaga. Citizen science. What is citizen science? So for example, orang Project Padi semua pandai buat citizen science. Dia tahu when to plant, which month to get the best yields, which variety yields more. All these things they're learning more and more because they're taking the data. Kan? Kamu ambil data, kamu proses data, kamu analisa data. Sama juga dengan Ramsar, sama juga dengan HEH. Mana tuh gajah jalan. All these things. CSPO, what are the smallholders doing? That's citizen science. Spatial science. Spatial science adalah like in the RE2 project, big data, looking at where is watersheds, where are rivers, where are roads, understanding where are the kampongs that don't have power, all these things. So that's visual data. Partners, legal innovation is the law and policy part of everything we do. So you all already know a lot of what we do, like in RA2, we want to influence policy. Padi, ada juga angan-angan mau influence policy. HEH, every project has some connection with law and policy. And then partners, collaborations, exchanges, facilitation and design. So this is where facilitation comes in. We don't make a big noise about it. We just say that's the way we do things, because that's how we create partnerships and collaborations. Then there's communications. How do we talk about, share the stories to ourselves, each other, rest of the world, and then at the very end there's Forever Sabah Institute. How do we turn everything we do here into learning programs, learning experiences for ourselves, for Sabahans, for internationals. Our board, as you know, we have a board that has government, business, communities, NGOs, science. That was very intentional. We wanted all the sectors to be there. You will rarely see that. Finance, that's where Derek is sitting. Not just Derek, a bunch of them. Coordination, that's where the office folks, how do we coordinate everybody? Why do we not say management here? Because we don't try to manage you guys. How do you manage this? You can't manage it. Forget it. You'll be stressed. We coordinate just to make sure you are all connected. You can all talk to each other. You know that, oh, I have to report due. I have to do my budget. I have to do my planning. Those are coordination functions. And then if you remember, those of you early days of FS, we created our DNA together. Bottom up. Ada bottom up tapi ada leadership. Professional tapi joyful. Self-replicating, also reciprocity, responsibility, diversity, respect, courage, supportive, independent, sovereign, interconnected, efficient, decentralized, resilient, revolution, freedom, accountability. It doesn't end there, tapi those were some that we came up with, and you guys came up with it. Not necessarily you exactly, but your predecessors, other people who were part of Forever Sabah from the beginning. Likely we will change this over the years. So it's a living ecology, meaning bukan ini saja. There will be other focal areas. There will be other programs, other projects. So this is always changing, and this needle is always moving. It's gonna be moving. It's supposed to be a needle, although it looks like a necktie. So there was a reason we came to this slowly over the years. It's a living system. It is not a stagnant system. Why? Because we want to be relevant. Issues now, especially in the era of climate change, we cannot say where we will be in 5 years. What are the issues in 5 years, right? So the idea about facilitative leadership is it's responsive. We don't say that we are going to do exactly this, with who, when. There is a emergent punya quality. Emergent depending on who we gather, who are the stakeholders, what is the issue. You see what I mean? Let's say one of the key issues that may happen in the future, if COVID continues and people stop exporting rice to Sabah, we may have a shortage of rice because Sabah only plants 25% of what we need, what we consume. You see what I mean? There is a ticking time bomb there. There is a ticking time bomb with a lot of other things. Yeah, so one of the hallmarks I say of facilitative leadership is responsiveness. and being able to act quickly. Some methodologies you will be learning this on this program. Community building technology, which I'll talk about tonight. You will be mostly practicing this tomorrow. Why this? Because from what this was the first one I learned in 1997. It's actually the hardest one that I found compared to other technologies. This one, there's a lot of guidance where CBT, short form acronym, it's like jumping into the deep end of facilitation. So we're going to throw you all in the deep end of facilitation. We will learn these things. I believe if you know how to do this, you can do this. If you know how to do this, I don't think you can do this. So we're going to learn the hard way. We will share a little bit of the theory tonight. We may do a brief demo, but the brief demo doesn't mean you do exactly like the demo, because facilitation does depend a lot on the personality or the character of the person. I'm thinking I will show you, rather than talk about these, I will show you the videos. Actually, we did share with you the videos. Who did have time to watch the videos? Yeah, I thought so. So we'll watch it together. Don't worry, we will watch it together. There's a good video for this. There are videos for all of them. This one is a bit long. This one is a bit intellectual, but it's good to have that as well, to stretch yourself. So we're going from the quite hard, easier, and then this one, I'm going to stretch your brain to this. Some of you, who did the theory U training? Okay, 4, 5 or so people. We did a 3-day training just on one of these. Yeah, so you can imagine that just to learn one of these takes a while. And even once you learn it, you can still go to the intermediate, to the master class, but you still have to practice. Nothing, you can go and learn how to do all of this, but you don't practice. You don't actually learn. What is your facilitation style? I have my style. Don't try to do my style, because you can't, because you're not me. You will find your own style. What is your style? Some of you may be calming. Some of you may be provocative, like I'm a little bit provocative. Some of you may be very quiet, very gentle. That is for you to discover. And there really isn't a one style fits all. The reason why I've become like this is my early days of training was in the prison system in California. And I worked with young men who were facing 25 to life in prison. So I learned how to be a badass facilitator in prison. It's no nonsense, no walk in the park. Whereas others learn with corporations. So in the last year punya session, remember Pak Victor? Pak Victor mostly facilitates with corporations. It's where you get the big bucks if you're a facilitator. Shell, Coca-Cola, whoever, facilitate their strategic planning. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine. Some people facilitate in government, although there's probably less facilitation in government. I don't know, Sumi, what your experience is. NGOs probably are the ones that most use facilitation, I would say lah.
Contoh kalau kita macam facilitate open space untuk leader-leader, and then kita mendengar dan mendengarkan, menjadi pendengar, and then contoh lah kalau ada sesuatu isu, kita akan boleh gitu kita bagi cadangan penyelesaian, ataupun kita kena macam mana itu, kita kena bincangkan masalah itu sama-sama, ataupun macam mana?
Itu terpulang juga lah to your facilitation style, but for me, I will not cadang the penyelesaian. the best thing to do is ask the right question.
Oh,
Almost the best thing you can do, especially when people are stuck, a group is stuck, you're like, you ask the right question. Your skill is in feeling the room, sensing the room, what is happening, and asking the right question. And sometimes it's a 1-2 question. Yeah?
okay. Thank you.
To me, never cadang the penyelesaian. Because then you decided for them. They may not take ownership of that. And yeah, they may not actually agree with you.
Dalam methodologies nih, saya perasaan jelas Som dia cakap. So ini salah satu tempat yang ramai lah, banyak. Adakah dia diguna pakai untuk specific group of people ke, ataupun misalnya community building technology, adakah dia digunakan khas untuk community saja, atau kita boleh bawa kepada orang-orang macam governments ke apa ke, corporation ke?
Yeah. Good question. Yeah, so sebenarnya this is only 5. There are many methodologies. Some just copied another one and changed a little bit. Like World Cafe is a little bit like open space, but they make it like a cafe. And they have tables and like this lah. But more or less the same lah. Community building technology ni, dia punya, well, I would share more tonight, later this afternoon. It is not really about a community yang say orang kampung punya community. It is the spirit of community. So the spirit of community is like your sense of belonging, your sense of safety, your sense is these are my people. So it doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't have to be geographic. It doesn't have to be, as I said, kampung. You know, when there's a tragedy, like a tsunami or something, or fire, you know how everybody gathers, everybody just does everything to help everybody, and the walls come down and you're just trying to save everybody's, houses and whatever. That is a sense of community. But sadly, it takes a tragedy sometimes for that to happen. But you can actually facilitate a group to community. That is the methodology I first learned. How do you take any random group of people, anybody, strangers, all strangers, or even you guys all together who know each other, put them in a room for 3 days, and at the end of the 3 days, get them to a sense of community. So that CBT is that technology. So why do we do it? They did it in Bosnia, in Russia, and like many places where there were conflicts. They used it. The reason why I was in prison in California is this: we used that with inmates and with guards. For what? To reduce violence. So you use a methodology for people to build authenticity, to create a space of safety and respect, to reduce violence. So you can use it for basically anything. And this depends how much time you have, how big is your group, what is the issue. If it's an issue like, I don't know, tribal war, you probably don't want to do World Cafe. You know what I mean? You probably need a whole team of conflict resolutionists. You see what I mean? And conflict resolution is another way. There are also methodologies for that. Yang betul-betul untuk hardcore punya conflict. Peace building, that all the people who learn those methodologies, there are also methodologies like that. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, just want to learn from the RE2. If I can make a similarity between the RE2 and the JCAC, it's like it's a hybrid, right? Hybrid between the two of them. We are working on this, but they like the government works like that. So if you go to the second slide,
Which one? This one?
this one. Yeah. So how do you handle complexity when, for example, like like you said just now, to handle complexity, look at your support at the back, and then you can handle it. But in this case, it's like, okay, you look at the back, you have the support, then you move forward. Next thing you know, you turn back, there's no support. You're alone. You're lonely in that journey. How do you manage to facilitate that?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
I think thanks for that question. Good one. Facilitative leadership, I would say, is sort of the road less traveled as a leader. Not many people like it. It feels like you're giving away your power. And then it's a little bit too macam chaotic, too messy. Terlampau banyak orang loye buruk and terlampau pandai. Why give them the space to talk? They're just bising-bising and then we're all confused. So you have to understand why you're doing it. For me, it goes back to this. My values, my principles. So you have to connect with why you are doing it. So that at the time when you're facilitating and everybody has left, you know why you're still there. Because that's where your commitment and your own resilience as a facilitator comes into play. I trained in 1997. From 1997, for many years, I did it by myself. Even when I had my company, I trained my staff. They're like, really, you want us to think? Really, you want us to tell you what we want to do? Why won't you just tell us? They didn't even want that freedom. They wanted me to tell them how to think and what to do. So for many years, I did it alone. Until slowly, people start to get a sense of their own voice and their own power. But you hold space for a long time. Sometimes alone. Then you find your support system. You have to find your support system or you will crash and burn. This work, think about all the issues that you know. Sawit, energy, fisheries, agriculture, any issue. There's only complexity ahead of us. We cannot go back to the past when it was more simple. Cannot. Tidak boleh rewind. Kau campur lagi climate change, hujan tak stop, kau masa menanam, and then all the things we have to change, all the things we have to adapt in the future. So I would say the smartest thing we can do is embrace complexity. And your very top down, I know how to do this, I learned it in MBA, may not cut it. Andrew? Apa fuel? Love and fresh air. I think most importantly, as I was sharing to my co-facilitators in FSI, find a way to release, to cleanse, to dump it, put it back in the earth, because your body can't take it. You will make yourself sick. I have gone to places when I was less aware about my own ability, early days in LEAP when I would go to the field with Pakos to semua kawasan yang ada land rights issue di Sabah. Saya pergi 1 kali 2 minggu. Semua kami lawat tempat yang ada land rights issue yang 20 tahun punya issue yang tidak kena solve. Saya dengar cerita. When I came home, I was so sick. Bukan sick kenapa, sick saja. Sick terlampau banyak kena absorb. And then sick tu 1 bulan punya sick. And I had to find a way to release it. But that is a gift. It's a gift of learning my capacity. Because one of the things for facilitator is listening. Listening, synthesizing, mirroring back, asking questions. But no doubt you will take some on, no doubt, 100%. But then you have to learn how to let it go. Because if you're going to be effective and you're going to be sustainable, you have to.